Ever get that feeling? That nagging sense that the life you're living, maybe even the dreams you're working towards, they don't feel completely authentically yours.
Like you're following a script someone else wrote.
Exactly. Like you're navigating a world where the rules, maybe even the game itself, were set up by forces you can't quite put your finger on.
Yeah.
That's really the core of what we're digging into today. This idea called the Great Illusion.
It's a really potent concept, isn't it? This clash between feeling like you have free will, but also suspecting there are these unseen systems guiding your path.
It really makes you question, how much control do we actually have?
Definitely.
And to help us unpack all this, we've been looking into the work of Dr. Pooyan Ghamari. He's a Swiss economist, and he founded the Eland platform, which is sort of a guide for global mobility, strategic investment, that kind of thing.
Right. And his writing, particularly this excerpt, Reclaiming Your Sovereign Future, The Great Illusion, it argues that, well, many of us are caught in societal structures built for conformity.
Not necessarily designed for us to thrive individually, on our own terms.
Precisely. And Dr. Ghamari's aim isn't just to point out this illusion. He wants to give people a framework, a way to understand these subtle pulls and pushes.
And become more active authors of their own lives.
Yeah.
To reclaim that future.
Exactly, to reclaim that sovereignty.
So that's our mission today. We're going to pull out the key insights from Dr. Ghamari's work, hoping to help you, our listener, spot these invisible threads potentially shaping your life.
And explore some concrete steps toward, well, more autonomy, towards that sovereign future he talks about.
Okay, let's get into it. Let's start with what Dr. Ghamari calls the architecture of this illusion, the systems that can, steer us without us realizing.
It's fascinating how deep these go. He kicks off with economic conditioning, that path we all recognize, right? Education, get a job, buy a house, save for retirement.
Seems logical, totally normal. But he argues it can easily become a kind of debt-servitude cycle.
Think about student loans. You start your career already owing a significant amount. That creates dependence right off the bat.
Right. And then mortgage is great for ownership, sure, but they tie you down geographically, don't they? Suddenly, changing careers or moving for an opportunity gets way harder.
Yeah, and layer on top of that the slow creep of inflation, easy credit. It just subtly chips away at your financial freedom.
It feels like you're running faster just to stay in the same place.
And Dr. Ghamari suggests this isn't just an accident of modern life. He argues these systems, maybe not intentionally designed by someone, but they function to channel our energy towards keeping things stable.
Towards maintaining the status quo rather than encouraging, say, risk-taking or truly independent paths.
Exactly. The focus shifts from your potential to the system's stability.
It's a sobering perspective.
Okay.
He also takes aim at the myth of pure meritocracy.
Ah, yes. The idea that just talent and hard work are enough.
We all want to believe that, right? But the reality, as the source points out, often involves things like family money, who you know, even where you happen to be.
Like Silicon Valley or London finance or the Gulf oil hubs. Access there isn't just about merit, is it? There are other factors.
And here's the tricky part he highlights. Believing too strongly in pure meritocracy can actually be counterproductive.
How so?
Well, it might lead you to pour all your energy into these super competitive, maybe inherently unequal systems.
While those with existing advantages keep benefiting disproportionately.
Right.
Like banking everything on getting into that one elite institution or climbing that one specific corporate ladder.
Exactly. But he does offer some hope here. He says real merit can shine, often in places that are less established.
Like emerging markets.
Yeah, or decentralized tech ecosystems, or new legal jurisdictions where the old boys network hasn't quite formed yet.
Okay, so places where adaptability and actual skill might count for more?
Precisely. Which leads us to another big piece of this architecture, our digital lives. Social media, this idea of the curated self.
Right. We think of these platforms as open windows, but he argues they're more like managed ecosystem, influencing us.
So, through tracking what we like, what we fear.
And then monetizing that, turning our attention and even our anxieties into profit.
Yeah, and subtly guiding our desires, what careers look cool, what lifestyle to aspire to, what dreams feel safe.
So the influencers we follow, the trends we see, they might be shaping our ambitions without us even realizing it.
He calls it digital servitude disguised as self-expression. And that phrase really stuck with me.
Wow. Yeah, being subtly guided while thinking you're just expressing yourself freely.
It makes you pause and think, doesn't it? How much of my online identity, my goals even, are genuinely mine versus constructed.
Definitely. Okay, so we have these systems, economic, meritocratic beliefs, digital environments. How does this illusion play out in bigger things, like, say, global investment and our ideas about safety?
Well, the source points out our tendency, maybe our instinct, is to put our money where it feels safe. Established markets, blue chip stocks, prime real estate in London or New York.
Makes sense. Conventional wisdom, right? Go where the money is.
But Dr. Ghamari flips that. He suggests that too much capital concentrated in one place can actually inflate the risk.
That's interesting. More money equals more risk. How?
Think asset bubbles,
Huh.
overvaluation, herd mentality driving prices up beyond fundamentals. He argues that the real, perhaps less obvious, value might lie elsewhere.
Okay, so where? What are the alternatives he mentions?
He points to places undergoing major reforms, parts of Greece, Eastern Europe, some Gulf states where legal changes might be unlocking real estate potential that wasn't there before. High-yield opportunities.
So finding value before everyone else rushes in.
Exactly.
Huh.
Also, Africa's fintech scene, digital zones there. Innovation is moving so fast, he suggests, that early capital can build significant positions.
Right, where regulation hasn't caught up to the growth yet.
And then there's using residency itself as an investment strategy. Strategic relocation.
Okay, we'll get more into that. But the core idea for investing seems to be, don't just follow the herd.
Pretty much. As the source notes, the ALAN platform advises aligning your portfolio with your personal vision, not just chasing what's popular or perceived as safe. Look beyond the saturated markets.
Which ties into the idea of movement, doesn't it? Not just for money, but for ourselves. Let's talk about immigration and identity.
Yeah, this is a really powerful reframing. Dr. Ghamari says we should see residency and citizenship less as just labels and more as frameworks for our personal sovereignty.
Frameworks, how so?
Well, think about it. Your passport, the tax code you live under, the legal system you operate in these things, fundamentally define your opportunities, your limitations.
Okay, yeah, they dictate a lot about what you can and can't do.
And he makes a pretty bold claim. Just sticking to your original national identity or location out of, say, loyalty could actually be holding you back economically in today's world.
Wow. Economic self-sabotage, he calls it.
Something like that. He presents strategic immigration, not as abandoning your roots, but as designing your future.
So it's a proactive choice, not just reacting to circumstances. What kind of examples does he give?
Things like the UAE's Golden Visa or Portugal's D7 residency. Programs that offer legal mobility, maybe better asset protection.
Right. Using legal structures to your advantage.
Exactly. Or strategically setting up companies in business-friendly, maybe tax-efficient places. Even moving your family to hubs like Dubai or Zurich or Singapore for better education, safety, economic environment.
So it's about consciously curating your global footprint, your identity, to maximize your sovereignty.
That's the idea. And this brings us to something maybe less tangible, but he argues even more important, psychological capital.
Okay, not financial capital, but psychological. What does that mean?
He contrasts it directly. Financial capital is measurable, right? Dollars, euros, assets. Psychological capital isn't easily quantified, but he believes it's the foundation of authentic wealth.
And how does living a borrowed life affect this?
He says it drains you. Living out of sync with your true self leads to things like decision fatigue, constant low-level anxiety, just reacting to things instead of acting with purpose.
Mental energy depletion.
Yeah. And interestingly, he notes that even very wealthy people can lack this. They might have the money, but if they don't have that inner clarity...
They still feel lost or unfulfilled.
Exactly. They haven't aligned their resources with who they really are or what they truly want.
So psychological sovereignty is the key then, that inner work.
He sees it as the cornerstone, that self-awareness, that conscious effort to recalibrate your inner world when you have that coherence inside.
It makes all your external decisions, investments, where you live, what you do, more aligned and effective.
That's the argument. It brings coherence to everything else.
Okay, so if we recognize this great illusion, understand these forces, how do we actually start reclaiming our own blueprint? What are the practical steps?
The source lays out a few key imperatives for you, the listener. First step, audit your desires.
Like really figure out what you want, separate from what society tells you to want.
Exactly. Strip away the programming, find your own compass.
Makes sense. What's next?
Get out of the debt-servitude matrix. Build passive income streams. Focus on acquiring assets that appreciate and consciously ditch liabilities that are just about keeping up appearances.
Right. Less consumer debt, more income-producing assets.
Then redesign your geographic footprint. Your birthplace isn't your destiny. Go where your values align, where your capital is treated well.
Be willing to move strategically.
And build with intention. Make sure your projects, your ventures, align with your core principles, not just chasing the latest market hype.
Align actions with values. Got it.
And finally, use technology for liberation, not enslavement. Automate the boring stuff, outsource distractions, reclaim your time.
Use tech as a tool to free up mental space and energy.
So the overall message isn't really about, burning everything down, is it? It's more subtle.
No, Dr. Ghamari calls it a quiet revolution of personal sovereignty. It's about redesign, thoughtful changes.
Recognizing you were born into a script, maybe.
But you absolutely have the power to rewrite your part, or choose a different play altogether.
And he emphasizes that now is a unique time for this. Global finance, different legal options, digital tools, they offer flexibility like never before.
But it takes courage, right? To question those comfortable illusions.
Absolutely. That's the first hurdle. But the potential reward
is a life that feels authentic, where wealth serves purpose, time is valued, identity is yours.
That's the promise. A life aligned with your truth. Okay, let's shift gears slightly and hit some key takeaways, maybe answer some FAQs based on the source, looking towards 2025.
Good idea. So, first off, that meritocracy illusion in investing. The takeaway seems to be it pushes you to crowded markets.
Right, whereas the real upside might be in frontier economies, early-stage tech, maybe deregulated zones where agility counts more.
And for strategic wealth relocation, any specific places highlighted?
Yeah, the source mentioned the UAE, Singapore, Portugal, Georgia, some Caribbean states, generally places with favorable taxes, flexible residency, strong legal systems.
Okay. What about industries with potential for both financial upside and autonomy?
Things like blockchain infrastructure, wellness-focused real estate, regenerative agriculture, global education platforms, AI-driven decentralized systems came up.
Interesting mix. And escaping debt servitude. Any practical tips?
Downsize liabilities, boost cash flow dividends, royalties, rentals.
Yeah.
And maybe reinvent your career for more scalability, less dependency on one employer or location.
What about citizenship by investment? What's the long-term value there?
The source positions it as a geopolitical hedge, a way to benefit from regulatory arbitrage, gain access to global banking and education, and protect assets more effectively.
Is real estate still a good bet?
Yes, but strategically. Think lifestyle properties, places linked to innovation hubs, developments tied to visa programs. It's evolving.
Can you actually make the digital nomad thing a serious professional strategy?
Definitely possible, according to the source, but needs proper legal setup, tax planning, and a scalable business model. It's not just about working from a beach.
Got it. Are there any big upcoming macroeconomic shifts we should be watching?
The source flagged a few. Potential moves towards commodity-backed currencies, the BRICS currency development, sovereign digital IDs becoming more common, the huge generational wealth transfer happening now, and AI influencing governance. Lots to track.
And that internal clarity, that psychological capital, how does it actually affect investment performance?
The idea is it cuts down on emotional decisions, helps you stick to long-term plans, and keeps your actions anchored to your core vision, leading to better outcomes.
Makes sense. Any hidden investment gems mentioned for 2025? Specific opportunities?
A few specifics were hinted at. Off-plan developments in places like Ras Al Khaimah in the UAE, Tivat in Montenegro, Thessaloniki in Greece. Also, African fintech, Nigeria, Kenya, South Africa were mentioned. Compliant crypto custody solutions, wellness tourism in Georgia or Bali. And dual-purpose properties in Eastern Europe live in, plus rental potential.
Okay, quite a range there. So, wrapping this up, it really comes back to that core choice, doesn't it?
Yeah, living the borrowed life, shaped by unseen forces. Or consciously designing your own sovereign future.
And the approach isn't necessarily rebellion, but more like strategic redesign. Working within, or sometimes stepping outside, existing systems thoughtfully.
You were born into a particular narrative, sure.
But you're not bound by it. You hold the pen now.
And the tools available today, financial, legal, digital, they offer unprecedented chances for that kind of personal reinvention.
It just takes that initial step, that courage to question the comfortable illusions.
But the payoff is immense. Living a life that feels true, where your resources serve your purpose, your time is truly yours, and your identity is sovereign.
Well said.
So let's leave our listeners with this final thought to chew on. What single inherited belief, maybe one you've never really questioned if you examined it deeply, what belief could unlock the biggest leap forward in your own personal sovereignty?